I'm Joe Clark, Managing Partner of the Financial Enhancement Group. Today I want to share something with you that I think is vital for your financial success along your journey. Now, I do have to remind you that we're SEC registered investment advisors. We manage a little more than $390 million for family in more than 30 states. But what's really important to you is understanding how money really works. Now, anytime you hear me talk, you're probably going to hear the word fiduciary focus come out of my mind. It didn't take long for me to be in the business world to realize just about every decision that we make has tax implications for you as one of the families that we take care of. And so I always am talking on the radio show about the fiduciary focus, how money works, why it works that way. And remember, everybody has a fiduciary. But for most of the world, when you look in the mirror, that's your fiduciary. Now, the fiduciary's job is to treat your money as if it were their money and they were in the same situation. Sadly enough, for most of us, we don't hire fiduciaries. We either have brokers or 401ks we're doing on our own, and things can get a little messy over a period of time. But if you're going to be a fiduciary, you need to pay attention to four very key things. Risk and volatility are one of them. Fees and expenses would be the next category. The taxes, both today and tomorrow, hence the information I had up there about Ed Slott. Believe it or not, twice a year we sit in a classroom for 3 days and read private letter rulings to understand the implication to taxes on your future and how your retirement winds up looking. And then last but not least, of course, is real return. Most people spend the majority of their time talking about the candy or the products, the investments, the stocks, bonds, and cash. What I really want you to understand is there's more to it than just that. But today we're going to talk about the three phases of finance and what that really looks like for people. I got into a conversation with one of my friends who flies airplanes. And, I told him, I get on the plane, you bring me coffee, you get to 30,000 feet, you bring me more coffee, you land the plane, hopefully safely, and not a lot goes on. And he went through a very detailed conversation with me about what changed at each of those three phases or stages of the flight. And it became very interesting to me to notice when I thought about it, most individuals such as yourself, when you get your statement, whether it was when you were 18, 40, or now 65, most people tend to look at it in the same light. Well, really, we've got to have three different stages. That first one, that first phase that you maybe are going through or went through is what we call accumulation. Now, in accumulation, you have two primary objectives. The first one is making sure that you're saving the right percentage of your income. The sooner you start, the less money you have to save out of your paycheck in order to maintain your standard of living when you retire. But the second thing is really building tax diversification. That means we want some money that is in the tax deferred area, like your 401k, some money that's tax-free, like your Roth IRA, and some money that is already been taxed where you've got basis that's built up. We don't know what the future tax code is going to look like. But I can give you instance after instance where we would have wanted to pull money out of one of those three areas in order to help somebody with retirement. Now, this is a picture of what I've lived through since we started the Financial Enhancement Group back in 1997. Way massive amounts of volatility. The tech wreck, the 2008, the Great Recession. The market is still higher today than it was when I started by a long shot, even though we have literally seen more volatility than most of the people during the Great Depression. Now, in accumulation, you're putting money in along the way. And as long as the market is higher when you're done, from an investment standpoint, that's all you need to worry about in the accumulation mode. Just put the percentages in and let them work. Now, eventually, you're going to get to preservation. And preservation is when we have more money in the account, substantially more, than what we're adding to it today. So there'll probably be a part of your life where you're adding to the account, but the baby that you already have is going to be worth more. Then there's a period of time where you may not be touching the money, but you may not be adding any more to it at all. That's preservation. And it's important to understand this is the only stage where average return really matters. See, when we look at that chart, If you'd started with us back in 1997 and you were here, you would have lived through this, but you would also be here today, right? Average return only matters though if you're there beginning, middle, and end. And as I tell the families that we serve, if somebody talks to you about retirement, about maintaining your standard of living, and talks about average return, you can end the conversation pretty quickly because they're not familiar with how math works during a distribution phase. And that's when we really get into that last place and landing your plane. There's a couple truths that you need to know about your retirement account, and that's that you will have a defined distribution. Yes, you know they're defined contributions, that's your 401k and your IRA, but at some point, either by your own choosing or by the fact that you reach 70 and a half or that you pass away, at some point in time, the money that you build up in that account is going to come out. And that is not where average return matters any longer. This is where we want to pay attention to the tax rate we pay on the average dollar that we pull out. And secondly, the volatility as we go through those distribution periods. If you can put those three things together in the accumulation phase, where you built tax diversification, preservation, where you had a discipline and you stuck out your average, you earned the average return by being disciplined and prudent, and then lastly, you had a defining distribution where the money came out and everything worked as it was planned. The tax rate per dollar on the average distribution was low. The volatility was low. Life is good. And my friends, that is how you have a successful financial journey. Distribution here, when we pulled money out down here in 2008, it never got to grow back up. That's why average returns don't matter. And it's important that you get that in your head. Understand each of those three stages has a different task and a different job. So I let them out for you. I wrote it out for you, but I think more importantly, you've got it from the talk today. If there's anything at all we can do to be of service, please don't hesitate to let us know. You can always find out more at yourlifeafterwork.com. Have a great day.